Live started. Okay. Let's go.
Thanks, Shantan.
Yeah, thank you, Shantan, and yeah. Uh, okay, hello everyone. Today we are here with our second episode of our podcast that is on the topic of special procurement of subcontracting and consignment collaboration. So Arit is going to present it, and myself, Partho, I am going to host it for today, and we have another two sessions on different topics of procurement upcoming Sundays. So the dates will be published in our page, SAP Inside Track Kolkata page soon. Just follow that page, and at what whoever is attending this live session, welcome everyone. Myself, Partha Sarathi Nath. I am a Ariba consultant. My total experience is 13 years. And Arit is going to present it for today. Arit, please introduce yourself and we can start the session.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Partha, and thanks everyone for joining. Happy to be back again after a gap of a week because of the natural calamity and all. Right. Now a brief introduction about me for those who did not join the last session. My name is Arit Basu. I'm a part of the SCC consulting team of SAP India, right? And I work very closely with our clients and our partners on the SAP Business Network for supply chain. So that's a very brief introduction about me. Um, let's quickly jump into the topic because we have a lot many things to cover and only 1 hour. So let me see if I can share my screen. Yeah. So the way we would structure today's session, Partha, is we would do a very brief recap of what we discussed last week, and then we would discuss the two special procurements, right? One is subcontracting and another is consignment. I don't have any specific slides on subcontracting and consignment because I would expect that the audience who would join, they are experienced or consultants, they know what subcontracting and consignment procurement is. What would be more interesting for them is what business problem does SAP Business Network for Supply Chain solve in terms of subcontracting and consignment, and that is something we would try to demonstrate using a use case in the system itself. Yeah.
Okay, Arit,
So
but Arit, just a request. Maybe our viewers are very much fresher or very less experience. So just brief one line or two line definition for subcontracting or
yeah,
consignment
that,
process. It will be
that I'll
helpful
cover.
for them. Yeah.
That will surely cover. So I'm just trying to share my screen. Yeah. Um, how do I share the entire screen? Yes. I'm sharing my entire screen, guys. I hope you can see my screen, right? I am trying to bring my PPT. So,
Yeah.
so what we discussed last time or in our last session is this, right? So, what we discussed is that what is SAP Business Network? So, we kind of had a very high level definition of a SAP Business Network. So, which is essentially um, which connects the different businesses in a digital and cloud native way, depending on the different trading relationships, right? So that's a very crisp definition of SAP Business Network. We also discussed the solutions that the SAP Business Network has, which is procurement collaboration, what we used to know as our good old Ariba network. Then we have supply chain collaboration, which we are discussing today, which is SAP Business Network for supply chain. Then we have SAP Business Network for finance, which is Tolia. Yeah. Then we have SAP Business Network for talent collaboration, which is again on the areas of field class. Then SAP Business Network for logistics, which is our good old logistics business network or LBN. And then we have business network for asset collaboration, which we used to call earlier as AIL, right? So these are the different areas where SAP Business Network integrates the two businesses. Then we took a deep dive into the supply chain area, i.e., the area which is very close to my heart. And there we tried to understand that, okay, what are the personas usually we are talking about? So in a BN for SC, we have got two key important personas, which are buyer and supplier. And then we say that, okay, what are the different processes? Because in a supply chain, we plan, then either we buy or make, and then move, and then finally we pay, right? So on the plan, we have forecast collaboration, SMI, and external manufacturing visibility. So these are the things, or these are the topics that we shall discuss in the next two sessions. Then in our last session, we discussed our PO collaboration and multi-tier collaboration, right?
Right.
And then today we will discuss the consignment and subcontracting. Of course, we have the quality part, which is quality notification, inspection, and everything. And then there's the payment part of it, which is your usual vendor initial invoice, and then and then your ERS, and usually your return collaboration. So to summarize, and if I try to put it in a very simple term, we plan to either to buy, or we plan to buy from the supplier, and for that we need to give the supplier some visibility. That's what we manage through our forecast collaboration and SMI, etc. And then once we place the order, so that is our area of PO collaboration and multi-tier collaboration, which we discussed, and of course our subcontracting collaboration, consignment collaboration. Of course, we need to ensure that we get the right product of the right quality. There comes the quality collaboration. And then since we have received the goods, we have to pay to the supplier, right? So that accounts payable part is managed through the invoicing and payment area. Then what we also discussed last time is what is PO collaboration, right? So what we said is very simple in the PO collaboration, right? That PO, GR, IR, that has always been there in SAP, right? But then what is the business problem that the supplier or that the SAP Business Network is solving? So when here what is happening, that when we create the PO, the supplier gets it on the network instantaneously, which means both buyer and supplier sees the single source of truth. Then once the supplier shares his commitment, it gets immediately updated into the buyer's S4HANA system. So essentially, depending on the supplier's commitment, the buyer can plan his downstream activities, or basically he can think about, okay, how the confirmation of supplier is impacting my material requirement planning. Similarly, when the supplier ships the goods, the buyer gets notified immediately, and then accordingly he can plan his logistics, he can plan his production and other activities. And finally, when the goods reach, the buyer performs the good receipt, right? And then immediately the GR information flows to the supplier, and they can perform the invoicing. So effectively, what the network is achieving here is it is establishing transparency of the transactions, right? So because since both buyer and supplier are on the network, both of them are seeing the same source of truth. That is the first. Yeah. The second thing is it is taking in resilience in the system, right? So because depending on your confirmation, depending on your ship notice, you can actually check that okay, how my production plan of the buyer is getting impacted, and then accordingly you can look for alternate source, or you can look for alternate metrics whatsoever. And then of course it is completely on a cloud native way, so it brings the cloud solution to us. So that's what we discussed on a peer collaboration. Then we also discussed that okay, now the way our world is going, right, is that it is it is not only enough for me to work with my first tier of supplier, right? For example, it is a classical example, right? That if I am placing an order to Flipkart or Amazon or any marketplace whatsoever, right? Sometimes the marketplace engages a third-party logistics service provider or a courier, right? And then the courier needs to know. So I need to give that visibility to the courier also, right? That Mr. Courier, you need to go and pick up the goods from my supplier, right? So if you assume that okay, you are placing an order to a marketplace or to one of your suppliers, right? And then you are asking, then you yourself are engaging a courier who will go and who will pick up the goods from the supplier premises and then deliver to your factory, right? So if that is the business case we are looking at, so then of course I need to give the visibility of my purchase order to my logistic service provider also, right? So that he can start planning his trucks and other activities, right? And then let's say I have told my supplier that you deliver these goods to me, or you deliver a particular article to me on, let's say, 5th of May, right? But then the supplier comes back, and then I have also given the same information to my logistics service provider. But the problem would be that if my supplier tomorrow comes back and says, sorry, although you have asked on 5th of May, I really can't deliver on 5th of May because I have some capacity issue. So I can only deliver you on 7th of May. So that information should not only come to me, that information should also uh, propagate to my logistics service provider, right? And similarly, when the supplier is ready to ship, that information also need to propagate to my logistics service provider so that he can send this truck. So that is something we can achieve using the multi-tier collaboration. So whenever the buying organization or the buyer creates or changes a PO, that not only reaches the primary supplier, it also reaches the logistics service provider, so that it kind of acts as a demand signal for the logistics provider to arrange his transport. Then whenever the supplier confirms, right, the purchase order, then not only the buyer gets notified, but also there is a copy of the confirmation that reaches the logistics service provider.
Right.
Similarly, when they are ready to ship, they get a copy of the shipment. So in this way, again, going by the very basic fundamental definition of business network, it establishes transparency between different businesses. It brings again resiliency within the business, and so that the different components of the business network can respond to the changes in a prompt manner. So far we discussed these two points, right? And then what we want to discuss today is essentially subcontracting collaboration and consignment collaboration. Now, let's try to understand that what is a. So if I may now try to understand that, okay, I will quickly stop sharing the screen because I believe the first part I would try to share a bit of a theory and then we can kind of do it, right? What is subcontracting? It's a very simple process, right? So, and if we have consultants, they would know, but again, just to bring everybody on the same page, subcontracting is nothing but you are giving a component of a material to your subcontractor or to your supplier, and the supplier takes that component and then he build the finished goods. I'll take a very simple example. So if you go to your how would I say, if you go to your most of your, if you go to a garment company, right? So let's say if you go to a shirt manufacturer, right? So it may so happen that that garment company can have all the processes in-house, for example, right? So you get the yarn and then you do all the knitting, cutting, mercerizing and everything, and then finally you get the shirt. Now it may so happen that 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 shirt manufacturing company, right, they may think that, okay, I would outsource a portion of my work. So basically subcontracting is nothing but an outsourcing of your a certain activity. So what they will outsource? So let's say they when you get the thon, right, the usual piece of cloth that may need some coloring, right, dyeing, right. So you may say that, okay, fine, I will give the white thon to a dyer, and the dyer will, and they will give me back dyed thon, right. So this is a classical example of a subcontracting process, correct. So you give a component to a supplier, the supplier takes that component and then he processes that component and he comes up with a finished goods or semi-finished goods and then he delivers it back to you. This is the simple process of subcontracting. Now, subcontracting process has been there in ECC. I think it is since four. I mean, when I started my career, right, since 2005-6, since then I have seen it, right, that yes, this process has not changed, right? So basically, you still place a purchase order, you send a component to the supplier, and then supplier, when the supplier is ready, then you basically do the good receipt of the finished goods and the component consumption is.
Right.
Has this process changed? No, this process will never change, right? This is the very basic process. But then what business problem? Why do I need to do it in then SAP Business Network suddenly, right?
Mhm.
So of course we would get the power of collaboration. Means if my subcontractor is on the network, he would get my PO. He can still send the PO confirmation. He can still send the ship notice, etc. So that is given. But then what additional problem it is solving? There are two big problems it solves. The first thing is functionally also you can always say that I have I have given you 5 units of a material, right? But and in your books, it would show that, okay, I have given the by supplier 5 kg of raw material. But whether the supplier has received it or not, it is never registered in a systematic way in your system,
Right.
right? So which means it is always offline, some Excel file, some email, something is always there. And then that stock reconciliation, that, okay, what is the subcontracting stock, because subcontracting stock is nothing but my stock lying at subcontractors and suppliers end, right? So what is my subcontracting stock as per my book and what is my subcontracting stock as per supplier book? That reconciliation has been a bit of a challenge. And right, and it used to be a month-end activity when you go and then you reconcile, or some of the offline conversation, etc. That will happen, right? So this is something SBN has resolved, because whatever shows in your S4 HANA system, right, in your MBLB transaction, the same is replicated in SAP Business Network. So essentially, again, it brings transparency of the data, it synchronizes, or it shows the same source of truth between buyer and supplier, right? So basically, that problem it solves. Secondly, the buyer never knew, right, that whether my supplier has received the goods, right? Because it would always come on email, phone, or some conversation and everything, right? But now, what happens when we send the goods from, or when we send the component from our system, it reaches to the network, it reaches to the supplier. Supplier themselves does the component receipt, and that confirmation comes and updates in our system. So with this kind of communication is clear. And then last but not the least, when I consume my components, that consumption also clears off the subcontracting stock on hand, right? So to summarize, yes, the typical benefit of PO collaboration, that is always there, which means your OC, your ship notice, those kind of things are that benefit we can always reap through subcontracting collaboration. Over and above, it allows, or it enables the buyer and supplier to have transparency of the subcontracting stock on hand by bringing the subcontracting stock on hand, or the component stock on the network. Plus, it moves the stock, right, to a subcontractor stock only when the subcontractor does the confirmation. So which means there is a very clear transaction trail that, okay, the goods are received to the subcontractor and then he has confirmed. So these are the typical problem which the SAP Business Network solves. With that, I will take a pause. Partho, is there any question on the chat?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, fair. So now I will
I
try
have
to.
one question. I have one
Hmm,
question.
hmm, hmm, hmm.
So the we are sending raw materials to the subcontracting party. So is it will be always one material, or bunch of materials also be there?
Bunch of materials. It can be always.
So suppose I have sent some a bunch of raw materials to them. Now, uh, to finish that good, it will take some time, maybe 6 months. Okay. During that time, if their manufacturing cost is gone up, so will they charge us something more? Means the will create a PO, right, for that. So what will be the changes will happen on that PO if their
Correct.
manufacturing cost or some other cost go up?
It's a very valid point, right? And it is so. It is irrespective of subcontracting. It can happen.
Hmm.
You can essentially import a machinery, right?
Right.
And that those kind of heavy machineries takes a long lead time, and in between the import duty may increase, the cost of raw material may increase. Just like the
Mm-hmm.
way when we buy our cars, right? We may order a car, and then if it's a long lead time item, sometimes the car may go for a higher price, right? So similarly, what will happen here? It will There will be a change in the PO price, right? So there are two ways to handle it. One is, if the supplier comes back and say that, you know, I would need a price revision, right? Because of course we agreed on $1 or 100 rupees per unit, because that's my conversion, that's my processing cost.
Mm-hmm.
But then due to some reason my labor cost has jacked up, right? So can you
Right.
give me a 10% increase in the price? And then if it is negotiated and agreed, then the buyer would change the PO, and the change PO would be available to the
Okay.
network.
New version.
That is,
New version
new
2 will
version
be.
of the PO would be
Yeah.
available. I will show you. This is a very good, very elegant. I'll show you.
Okay.
Right. So yes, to answer your question, it will be either a PO change, right, or it will be a
Mm-hmm.
subsequent debit or credit note, right,
Okay. Okay.
depending on the point when you identify that there is a price increase.
Price. Okay.
So let me try to share my screen. Uh, yes, please let me know if you can see my screen. Huh? So I have a material called
No, just a
4155.
moment. Not yet. I'm not able to see your screen.
Okay, let me know, or should I stop sharing and again share?
Yes, yes. Share the entire screen. It will be best, I think.
I will share one more time. But present, share screen, entire screen, select, share. Can you see my SAP screen, Partha?
Not yet. No. Last time when you were sharing the presentation, I was able to, but not now.
Is it same for others? Can we check if there is anyone else?
Um, Not sure he is there.
Otherwise, I need to disconnect and connect again, I presume, because I'm sharing. Okay, let me open another Excel file. At least just check if it is an issue with this application or something, right? I'm just opening an Excel file, Partha. It should
Yeah,
not be the case, but just in case, right? I'm just opening a simple Excel file, huh? Just a blank Excel file I have opened,
yeah,
okay?
yeah. Sure, sure.
Just to test, huh? Okay, and then I'm
Yes.
presenting, share screen, entire screen.
No, nothing.
Just check, Partha, if you can see an Excel file.
No, no. I'm not able to see.
Something has gone wrong. Looks like you are in the show. Wait, let me do something. Huh? Let me disconnect and then again try to join back. Okay, let's see. Hope it
Yes.
will work.
Fine. Not a
Yeah,
problem.
I'll just leave and then I will join again. Yeah.
Yeah. Guys,
Um,
just wait for 2 minutes. Audit is joining back.
Hey, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Hi, Arit. Yeah.
Fine. Hopefully, now system will allow me. Let me share my screen.
Yes.
Can you see my screen now? SAP screen?
Yes, it is loading. Probably, yeah. Now it's fine.
Good. I will not stop sharing anymore. Yeah. Okay. Good. So I was referring to this, right? So I have a material. Let's consider this, right? So I have a material. This is the BOM of the material. This is the bill of material, right? And the material shows just to
Right.
make it very simple, right? I have created a semi-finished goods or finished goods, and that has one component. Simple. But yes, to answer your question, Partha, we can add more also here, right? Which actually is the case. Hardly I have seen a BOM which has one component, but
Yeah.
because of course, just to keep things simple, I have kept it like this. Yeah? Now, if I go to MD04, right? So because just to manage some time, I created some years, etc. And I'll take this purchase acquisition. I'll convert this purchase acquisition to purchase order. Yeah. I will convert. Maybe I will take less, right? Maybe I will take 5 units just to keep things simple. Okay. Now let's check how does the component look like. So if I go to material data, this will explode BOM. Yes, I have what component has come. And component has come. Yeah. Now, how does system knows it's a subcontracting PO? As we know, it is through the item category L,
Item
right? Item
category.
category L shows that it's a subcontracting. Okay. Now I am sending the PO. So I say done. Right. So I have a PO created called 17523. Now, if you remember the way last time we worked, when I am in Chrome, right, then I am kind of a buyer, right? And when I'm in Edge, then I'm a supplier, Edge or Safari. Yeah. So now I'm logging. Now I'm wearing the hat of the supplier. I'm logging into the network. And I can see I have received a PO. Very good.
The PO. Yeah.
Good. Now I have received the PO. What kind of PO it is? It's a subcontracting PO. So as we know, okay, if it's a subcontracting PO, then I should know what are the BOM materials, right? Because in order to produce this item 415, what do I need from my customer? So it will tell you that if you click on show components, it says that in order to produce 5 unit of 415, the customer has to deliver me 50 units of 416. From where it
Okay.
is coming? It is coming through my bill of material, right? So if I go over here,
Right.
it's 1:10. Yeah?
Right.
Very clear. Now, if I'm expecting my supplier to confirm the PO, usually first thing you will check, do I have that amount of items, right? So then let's say first you will check, and I mean, it can work in different businesses differently, right? There is no hard and fast validation in the system that unless and until you have the component, supplier cannot do confirmation. But I'm just trying to hypothetically depict the picture, right? That the supplier first checks that, okay, in order to produce my 5 unit of 415, I need 50 units of 416. how much of those components do I have? So where he checks, he will go and he will check. He will go to extended collaboration. He will go to component inventory. And in the component inventory, it usually shows, right, that which customer has given him what kind of stock. Right? And then if he goes over there, if he says 416. Now he says, sorry, I don't have anything. So, Mr. Customer, can you please send me that 50 units of 416? Okay. So that conversation would start. So now, as a buyer, what I will do, I will go to ME2ON. These are all transactions which have been there since ages, right? Subcontracting
Right.
cockpit. So I will go to ME2ON. I will say that, okay, what is the assembly? The assembly is 415. Or what is the component? The component is 416. That's
16.
yeah, going by the assembly. Yeah. Now I will run and see it says it's in red, right?
Right.
Means I need to send him something. So what I do, I go over here and I create a delivery, right? Because there have been ways to do one step issue and all, but then this is where the subcontracting process has evolved up, right? So I'll
Right.
go, I will say create delivery. So here I will change the movement type because I want to put it in transit, right? 30A.
Right.
Yeah. And I know here actually that my location, but again, people can check it from there. Yeah. And then I will create a delivery document. Yeah, the delivery document has been created. Now that the delivery document has been created, the moment I refresh, it says deliveries with OpenGI. So I have created the delivery document.
Mm-hmm.
Now I need to issue the goods, right?
Issue.
Now I need to do a stock transfer. Yeah. Because as we know, subcontracting stock is a subcontracting stock transfer. So there is a 50, there's a 50, and then I'd say post goods. My net is behaving a bit differently. I hope transaction go through. Yes. So now if I go to my MBLB, which is again another good old SAP transaction, right, for consultants. And if I say 416, what does it show? It says SC stock in transfer,
Transit.
right?
Mm.
It says, so basically I have the stock has left from my premises, but it is in transit. It has not reached. Clear?
Right.
So it has not reached yet. Now, how does my supplier would look at it? My supplier would go and check, okay, do I have any component shipment? Do I have any component shipment? So he would like to check that, right? So say, see, he sees that, yes, I have this component shipment and this is open. The other two I have received. This is open 40551. Okay. So the supplier selects it when it reaches, and because he has received it, he has to confirm that I have received it, right? Because previously what
Right.
used to happen, if you are doing 541 or even if you are doing this 30A 30C on your own, it
Mm-hmm.
is only you who has a systematic documentation, right? The supplier,
Right.
you are not you and your supplier are not on, unless until you and your supplier are on one platform, then that integrated view is not available, right? But
Right.
here,
Right.
the moment the supplier receives it, he will say, yes, I have received it. So he will go there and he will say, I have received the component, and let's say I will give here one by one, something, yeah. And then he says next, and he says submit. Done. So it says fully received.
Received.
Yeah. And then it also gets attached to the PO. So if you look at the PO, here the delivery document is attached. Right.
Okay.
Now, if I again go over here, what I would see here, I would see that it should move to unrestricted, but let's check, right? I don't know why it is behaving a bit slowly, but let's check.
Just a silly
Meanwhile,
question.
another
Just a silly
yeah,
question. Whenever this document will be posted, uh, why the stock is moving to unrestricted? Because it's not in the customer premises. We have already sent it to supplier.
correct. So in the subcontractor stock, a very good question. So um, I'll I'll try to answer your question in a different manner. Let me try to first
Yeah.
stop this because I think it is not helping me, unfortunately. Give me 1 second.
I think it's a network issue somehow.
Somehow it's a network issue, but let's check. I hope that at least give me 1 second. I think
Yeah.
good. So let me try to answer your question. All right. So if I go to MMB, and if I say 416, because MMB is your stock overview, right? What it shows, it is in unrestricted, but it is still with the stock provided to the subcontractors,
Stock
which
provided to
means
the vendor. Okay. Okay.
your it's in the special stock, but it is still in unrestricted. So your stock can be within your plant, your stock can be with a subcontractor, or it
So,
can be in consignment. But there also you can have unrestricted, quality, and other blocked, right? Which means in the
right.
subcontracting stock also you can actually block a particular stock. So that is the reason. And the transaction code which I was showing you, MBLB, this is a dedicated transaction code for subcontracting stock. So if you look at this stock at subcontractor, right? So
Right.
it only shows you as per your ERP or as per your S4HANA system, what is the stock that is lying in your subcontractor. So what I'm trying to say here is this, that okay, now if I go over here, see it has moved. So from stock in transit, it has
Stock.
moved to unrestricted
This is
quality,
quality
right?
inspection.
Okay.
Right.
So that corresponding 30C movement type document, it posts automatically and then it moves from stock in transit to unrestricted. Now what we need to do, usually in every customer, you have to schedule a job, right? And that is something as a consultant, right? So that is called RBCIG underscore subcon. That job would run in a periodic manner, right? And that
Right.
basically syncs our S4 HANA with the network, right?
Sure.
So if I
Okay.
go over here, yeah, just execute. So essentially, this is something should not be. This is something would be working in the background, right? Your batch job would run in every 5 minutes, and then but ultimately, yeah, this this essentially syncs your stock with the supplier's network. So now that I have sent, now if I go and here, and now if I go to fulfillment, extended collaboration, component inventory, and if I give 416, right, I can see I have 50 unit in my stock. So there is no discrepancy, right? Your
Right.
S4 HANA system is saying 50, that your S4 HANA system is also saying that I have got, the supplier has got 50 units. Your, in the network, the supplier is saying he is having 50 units. So there is no discrepancy in terms of stock. There is no discrepancy saying that, Mr. Supplier, I have shipped for 50 units to you. Have you received it? There is no nothing, right? Because
Right.
your good receipt, your stock would move from in transit to SC unrestricted, right?
Right.
Only when the supplier performs the components receipt. So then there is no discrepancy over there, right? So
Right.
essentially, both the supplier and the buyer would see the same kind of same set of data. Yeah. Now, how the process would be there. So now that we have received it, and now I will also try to simulate the particular scenario, right? In between, suddenly there has been some changes in the raw material price, or there has been, the government has brought some changes somewhere, right?
Right.
Some rule has changed, or my labor cost has increased because of certain reason, right? And then you come back to my buyer and say that, Mr. Buyer, can I would need, essentially I would have a rise, right, in my
Right.
price.
Price.
So what do you agreed? Okay, instead of 1.20 USD, I will go for 2 USD. Fair enough. So you agree, okay, 2 USD, and I send a change. So then what will happen? That it is the way exactly in SAP system it used to work, right? So your price has changed. And the best part is, the moment your price has changed, if you go over here, I should expect there is a version 2. So see, this version has been obsoleted, right? So there must be a version 2 now.
Right.
What is the version 2? So now if you go see, you already
Order
get a
change.
notice called order change.
Right.
Now, what has changed? So that is the beauty of network, right? Previously, your amount was 6 USD. Now your amount has been 10 USD, right?
Okay.
And so it not only says that your order has changed, and it not only tells you what is the version, it also clearly highlights what particular field has changed, which line item has changed. So here unit price has changed, and this is the subtotal. So whatever critical fields, etc., which changes, right? There are, of course, as we know, that there are configurations in the system, right?
Ah,
That
right.
each
Right.
change will trigger a change document. So those kind of
Yeah.
changes are.
Yeah.
So far with me, yeah. So now Mr. Supplier goes back and he says, okay, now that I have got 50, I will confirm, right? So I
Right.
will confirm, and then I will confirm here, right? I need to give some dates. What is my delivery date? Let's say my delivery date. So now the supplier has confirmed. Yes, I have seen the
Yes.
confirmation here. And now if I go to my uh, second, I hope, oh no, I don't have the MD04. Now if I go to my MD04, I have the PO converted to a PO conf, right? So which means
Right.
that the supplier has said that yes, he can actually deliver. So essentially, I can take this and do my corresponding planning. Now, when I'm ready to ship, now that it is ready and I'm ready to ship, because now that I have completed my production and I'm saying
Right.
that it
Right.
is, There is another real-time consumption, but again, I would like to keep it very simple, right? So there are now
Ah,
there is a concept of real-time consumption also, but again, I will have to keep it simple for the time
so
being.
now onwards, the process is same as the PO collaboration.
Now onward, the process same, but then there is a change that also I want to show you.
Okay,
So
okay.
see, so see, now you have from a collaboration perspective, it is safe. For the supplier, he will still do the PO confirmation, and then he will
Mhm.
still send the ship notice. So there is no change over there, right? Now, if I go to the PO, okay, see, I have my inbound delivery created, and then I will do my shipment. Sorry, I'll do the stock placement. I'll put my 5 kg I have received. I will post goods received. Okay. So
Okay.
now, if I go to again MBLB, and if I say 416, I don't have anything here, right?
Right.
So some movement has happened, and that's why automatically my job should run. That's now I should have my 165 and then and now if I go back to fulfillment, extended collaboration, component inventory, ideally, unless there is a proxy or some failure in the network, which right, because I would see. Clear? So because whatever I have consumed, that consumption has also been reported
As
over
it
here.
done. Mhm.
So that's the end-to-end process, guys, right? So this is the beauty of collaboration. Of course, it comes with the standard power of collaboration, but then also it aligns us on the component inventory and it aligns us in terms of the components. I know in
Okay.
7 minutes I would not be able to complete the consignment collaboration, and
Right.
that's it. Probably we need to take the consignment collaboration in the next session.
Session.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but so if there is any question, I can answer. Otherwise, I can spend 5 minutes to explain the team about what is consignment collaboration or what is consignment as a procurement process, right? So then
Right.
what will happen? At least in the next meeting, we can immediately start with the consignment
System.
collaboration before I jump into the forecast
The
collaboration.
system. Yes. So
Is there
before
any
you
question,
we
Partha?
move to consignment collaboration, I have one question. Means it's not a question actually. Just wanted to add. In this case, how you are showing that the GR has been done, then we check the network and component receipts and all. So my question is, in this case also the multi-tier collaboration can be configured
Correct.
because
Of course, it's a very good question, and then probably I mean, I don't know. We plan for 4, but then probably we need one more session if we can. Then I can
yeah,
show you. So there can be scenarios, right? So let's think about a scenario. It's a very good question, Partha, right? So let's say you have got two components, 416 and 417. Okay.
right,
416, you are sending to the supplier. 417, right? I am giving a PO to Shayantan and I am asking Shayantan to deliver it to you if you are my subcontractor, right? So let's
right,
say I am the buyer, you are my subcontractor. So for 416, I will give it to you.
right.
For 417, I will give a PO to Shayantan and I will request Shayantan to deliver it to you, which is our good old 101O. So
Okay,
so that will bring the power of multi-tier collaboration along with subcontracting. Yeah.
right.
So yes, that is also possible. Okay. So
Okay,
I don't know. We need to talk to Momita and Shantan like how we can plan, because if we have to show consignment and multi-tier one day, then probably we would need one more session. Not sure
Yes,
how does
yes,
the calendar
probably.
looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, yes, it is very much possible. Yeah.
Okay. And moving
Any
forward, we do not have any new questions in the chat of our LinkedIn page.
hmm,
Uh, yeah, nothing. Let me type if anyone can ask any question. Not yet. Yeah, for next 2-3 minutes we can discuss about the consignment collaboration, and in the meanwhile, if we receive any questions, then we'll discuss.
correct. So if we remember, subcontracting collaboration is basically my stock lying at subcontractors and unless and until I do the consumption, right? That is
Right.
subcontracting collaboration. Now, consignment collaboration is the other way around. Subcontract or supplier stock will lie at my end, but the liability will not be generated immediately, because usually what
Mm.
happens, the moment a material is delivered to me, right? It is my material, correct?
Right.
But then in the business you will see that there are certain strategic suppliers, right, who would kind of invest on you or on the buyer, because of course there can be very different business reasons, right? It can be the volume of the business, it can be the criticality of the part, right? So ultimately between the buyer and the supplier there is an agreement where they kind of keep a part of their inventory into the premises of the buyer, right?
Right.
And the liability of the buyer and that material or that stock does not become the buyer's stock as soon as it reaches the premises of the buyer. Instead, when it when it is received, it is stored in a something called a consignment stock, right? So which is
Right.
essentially, consignment stock is supplier stock lying in my premises. It The quantity appears in my S4 HANA system or in my ERP system, but the value does not, because it is not my it's not my material, right?
Right. Right.
However, when I move the stock from my consignment stock to own stock, at that point of time the liability gets generated, right?
Hmm.
So this is what is called a consignment process. And here also, again, this consignment process also is there since I started my career in 2005. It is still there. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So, but then why SBN for SC? Let's discuss, right, in the next session.
Yes.
What business problem? Just like I tried to explain you today, right? That although we have been doing subcontracting collaboration for last 15-20 years, but then there are certain value additions, or there are certain business problems which SBN solves. So in case of consignment collaboration also, during my consulting period, I have seen that there are certain problems that there are certain offline. I would not say it's a problem. I would say it's a better way of working, right? So there has been some way of
Right.
working. There has been um, some kind of a offline communication. There has been some of a different way of working, which there was an but the business need was to have a better way of working, and there comes the power of BN for SC, right? So there it solves or it does the value addition. We would discuss that in the next session. Yeah.
Right.
Till then,
And
thank you very much. Yeah.
thank you. And I just want to add one more thing, that subcontracting and consignment process is the core processes of procurement. So how SAP has implemented within the business network, that is a fantastic functionality actually for business. So
Correct.
yeah, we are looking forward to explore more in our next session about the consignment collaboration. And I don't see any further questions, so we can wrap up our this episode.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
thank you everyone for joining with us. And yeah, Arit, please.
Yeah. No, thanks a lot, Partha. Really appreciate. Only thing is, the next session would be on the next to next week, because next week I'm on holiday. So next to next week we shall have
So
resume.
that probably Momita or Shantan will discuss with you. That is not a
Correct. Correct.
problem.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
How
yeah,
they would
that
like to schedule? Yeah.
that we will
That
plan
will
accordingly. Not a problem, as per
that will
our availability. Yeah,
as
that
per
will
our
not be a
availability.
problem.
But correct. 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 But yeah, till then, all of you have a very nice weekend, and
Nice
then I
weekend.
speak to you soon. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Partha.
you.
Really appreciate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye everyone. Bye.
All right.